Hello there. Today's video is a little video to help people set their carbs up, because quite a few people that I've been speaking to recently have had lots of problems which make them think that they've got serious issues, when really the only issue they've got is their carbs need setting up. So this is to tell you what your basic settings should be. So if your car's been running okay and then you've done a few adjustments and it runs like a complete bag of crap, what do I do? What do I do? Where do I go? This will show you how to set the carb up so that it's at standard settings, and then you can go from there. But whenever you make adjustments after you've put the initial settings in, make sure the adjustments are only small. Don't turn something for 3 or 4 turns, because that will be a complete waste of time. So we're talking about the SU carburetor that's fitted to, well, lots of British cars made from 70s, 80s and early 90s. This is sort of like a mini one. Lots of people will have minis. They're brilliant cars, and when they're set up with this carburetor, they are such a nice car to drive. So what we're going to do is look at each individual part of this carburetor from a setting point of view, and make sure you set it up exactly as it should be, so that then when you get the car started, you can make any final little tiny little adjustments to make your car run perfectly. Right, so the first thing you've got to do, imagine if this is bolted to your carburetor, you've got to take the dashboard off. Take these screws out, take this off, take the piston out, completely out. That then gives you an opportunity to see the jet. See, now when you've done that, you then have got an opportunity to look inside there, and you can see the jet. Now the jet has to be the right height. Now lots of people wind the blooming jet adjusting nut until the jet is miles away from where it should be, and then their car runs completely rough, and then they can't understand why. So let's look underneath the carb. Underneath the carb, here's your jet, and this nut here adjusts the height of the jet. Now, to get a basic setting, wind this nut in. So wind it right in until there's a wind it in, so wind it up until eventually the jet comes right up, until the jet is level with the bridge. What that means is the jet is at the same height as the jet holder. If you look there, you'll see that the jet is at the same height, flat. Now when it's there, this is rough settings. Lots of people will probably go, oh my god, but this is rough settings. This is how you get a car running. You go back to that nut and you turn that nut 2 turns. Now the way to know that you've done 2 turns is to look at the flats, this flat. So if you turn it 1 flat, that's there, 2 flats, that's there. You turn it until there's 12 flats. "12 flats is 2 turns, because there's 6 flats on a nut. So when you've done 2 turns, 12 flats of the nut, as it were, the jet should be about there. That is your standard position. It shouldn't be significantly lower, it shouldn't be significantly higher. If it is, it's wrong. So you do that as your standard start point. Then once you get the car running, you may want to adjust the mixture slightly, depending on what the car's doing, or gas analyzer up the exhaust might tell you it's running too weak or too rich. So if you do, you have to adjust this nut. but don't adjust it loads. Don't turn it like Billy-O. You're talking one flat. One flat is a huge amount in any direction. So don't start turning it. It won't run. One flat. If that doesn't cure the fault may be somewhere else. You might have an air leak. You might have something bent, missing, warped, blocked air filter. It probably isn't the jet, because that is where the jet should be. All right? So that's how to set the jet up. So the next thing we're going to look at is a tick over. Right, so now we're looking at the tick over. This here is a throttle adjustment screw. Don't go winding it in and out, because that's not the way to do it. What you want to do is get your car started. Once you've set the jet up and the jet's now made the car run a bit better, drive the car until the car is warm. It's fully warmed up, it's off choke, you've got no issues with anything else. The car is then running at the correct temperature. When it's at that point, you adjust that until the car ticks over reliably, nicely. If it doesn't, then you've got an issue with an air leak, or maybe another problem with the choke mechanism or something of that nature. But once that's been adjusted correctly, you then know that is the tick over. The tick over should be around about sort of 800 RPM. 1000 is a little bit high, but between 750 and 800 RPM on a Mini or anything really of that nature. So what that does, that throttle stop screw acts on this here, which is the throttle valve, the bell crank, the butterfly. So the more you wind it in, the wider it opens, the more fuel goes in, the higher the tick over. So you've got to get that reliable. What can muck it up? Well, look at this little screw here. That is the fast idle screw. If that fast idle screw is screwed in and it's touching the choke lever, then no matter what you do with this throttle screw, it won't make any difference, because this will already be pushed out by that. So you have to make sure that that is wound back when you adjust the throttle. And once you get the tick over correctly, then once the tick over is correct, you can then adjust the fast idle. How does the fast idle work? When you pull the choke, notice how it touches that screw and then it pushes on the little cam, it pushes the throttle open. That's called fast idle. You adjust the fast idle so that when it's to there, so before the jet actually starts to come down, when it's there, that should be giving you your fast idle. So you can pull the choke out so that the jet doesn't come down, so it hasn't put any choke on, but then you can adjust the fast idle with that screw until the engine's ticking over at about 1100 RPM. 1100 RPM is an ideal fast idle, and then when the choke comes out, obviously then, you know, when the engine's cold, it should run at a reasonable amount for you until it gets warmed up. All right, so that's how you do that. When you put the piston and the dashpot back on to the carburetor, you need to fill this with oil. Not fill it, but you need to put oil in this. Now, there's loads of different arguments about how much oil you should put in, but basically the oil, all the oil does, it allows the damper that fits in there, right there, to allow a restriction to the movement. Because with no oil, that piston can pop up and down like Billy-O, the car run like a packet of proverbial. But with that oil in there and the damper in there, that prevents the piston from coming up too quick. So the amount of oil that you should put in, it doesn't really matter how much oil, as long as you don't put in too much. I normally put in so it literally just covers the top of this. So I'll push this right up at the moment so you can see it. Just covers the top of that, so that when you put the damper in, the damper would displace some of the oil, so that the oil is then in a position where it can lubricate the slide. Other people have got different ways of doing it, and I'm not going to say that they're right or wrong, because that's just the way I've always done it. you'll find that on some carbs you'll have to check that on a fairly regular basis. If the carb starts running a bit iffy, then just check that the oil level is correct. What oil do you put in it? Well, I think it's 20 or 30 grade is what they recommend, but basically I put any oil in. You know, I put engine oil in before. It doesn't make any difference. Really, all you're doing is controlling the movement of the piston. So basically, make sure you do that. Put your damper in nice and gently. Push the damper in gently after you put the oil in, and then do the top up, making sure it's done up tight. Right. That way then the carb is likely to work properly. Don't put oil in and it'll run like a bucket of rubbish. No. One last thing, if the engine still doesn't start or runs like a complete bucket even though you've done all of those things we've just said, take the top off and look inside there to see how much fuel there is. If the fuel level is right down, you've got an issue with the float. Sometimes I've seen them before where they're bone dry. They've got no fuel in there at all, none. So have a little look in there to make sure that's the correct amount. It shouldn't be flooding through the jet tube. It should be just enough to supply fuel to the jet. If it's too much, it'll be running out the carb. If there's not enough, then obviously you've got an issue with the float. The floats on these carbs normally non-adjustable, so you could have an issue with the float valve. When you take the float out, it's what it should look like. The correct float height is that the distance between the float and the top should be about 3/16 of an inch ish. If it's right up here, no. If it's touching, no. But what do you do to adjust it? Because you can't adjust most floats. So what you have to do, you have an issue probably with the needle. So you'll have to check the needle, maybe even replace the needle until it actually gives you the correct height. So there you go then, that's how to set your carb up. Hopefully go out there, do that, and now your car should run like an absolute brilliant piece of machinery, which it probably is. So don't worry about the carb, don't throw the carb away, set it up. If it still gives you grief, there might be something wrong with it. You can always get in touch with me. I'll more than happily help you. Or go and buy another carb. Because if you buy a carb from a proper restored carb, it will be set up when you buy it. So you'll bolt it onto the car and virtually drive into the sunset. Hope that's been of some use to you. Take care. See you soon. And bye.